Hey, 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 yeah, hey, what a time to be alive. I left them for dead, now I'm living right. No new friends, no new advice. That was high then, but we got bigger heights. We got bigger fish to fry. Bet on myself, then I roll the dice. Man, it ain't a gamble if you know you nice.
Welcome back to Dollar and a Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ara Amen. This is the #1 podcast in Dallas, and I have a very, very special guest here with me today, James Aquila, CEO and founder of Aquila Financial, Tax Strategy and Planning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here, man.
Man, it's good to have you, my brother.
It's a pleasure, man. Come on, bring it in.
Yes, sir.
Man,
absolutely.
so what I love about us is we connected because I cold called you.
I think that is true. That is very true.
I cold called you.
Yep.
And because we have a mutual friend by the name of Zach,
Yep.
who gave me your number, and he was like, hey, this guy's really sharp. He's really bright. He's in taxes.
Yeah.
Just give him a call.
That was it.
And I was like, you know what? Let me just give him a call.
I think I met Zach, if I recall properly, at the mall.
Yeah.
I was just walking by, and he just struck a conversation. And I was just, he dressed real sharp.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, hey, hit me up. Let's talk. I love to talk networking and things of that nature. And so I think that's how we got here.
It's so funny, man.
Hey, man, it was meant to happen. So now
Absolutely.
we're here. Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. I wanna start with your background,
Yeah.
how you grew up, what was family like, where were you born, things like that.
Oh, man. Where do I start? So I was originally born in South Sudan,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's where my family's from. I grew up there. Actually, was born in South Sudan, and I grew up in Congo. So from the age of, 3 till about 8 or 9, we lived in Congo. And then from Congo, my dad actually went to Nigeria, and he was actually in the marketplace. So that's the interesting thing as far as how we got here in the U.S. So my dad was in the marketplace buying bread, and he saw some missionary from from here, from the States, and they were doing a raffle drawing. They're like, hey, listen, if you happen to put your name, if you get picked, we will help you put with the process and actually work on your visa to come to the United States.
Really?
That's how we got here, man. So it was a luck of a draw, as
Wow.
as they were saying.
Literally a luck of a draw.
Literally luck of a draw, right? But then of course, we got nothing is a luck. It's all planned and ordained.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it was that's how he got here, and then of course went through the process, and then he sent for us to get here. Yeah. I remember when we first got here, it was back in, I still remember, 1998, July 14th, 1998.
Okay.
Is when we first landed here in in the U.S. at the DFW airport. I spoke at the time. I think I spoke 5 languages. I spoke 5 different languages. English was not one of them.
Of course not.
Right? Did not speak English at all. I mean, I knew how to say hi or just the basic, right? But if somebody carried a conversation with me, I have no idea what they were saying.
What language did you speak?
So at the time, I spoke French because I grew up in Congo. Lingala, which is also one of the main language in Congo as well. Arabic, because from South Sudan, we speak Arabic, right? Zande, which is my main language. So I'm from the Zande tribe, right? So I think there's about 1 million of us across worldwide.
Wow.
And in 2022, we initially reestablished our kingdomship. So we used to have a king, but then things happen, and then so 22 and 22 is how we got our king back, right?
Wow.
So it's a whole different story. So now every time I go home, I have to pay homage to the king. I have to go meet
That's really cool.
right? So Zande, and then Sango was another language. So those were the 5. So Sango, Zande, French, Arabic, and Lingala.
So how many of those do you now know? Because you said at the time I knew them.
At the time, absolutely. So now I still speak my language, Zande, still speak it fluently. Arabic, I can carry a conversation here and there, but if you start speaking too fast, then you lost me. But I can understand in that aspect. So Zande, Arabic, a little bit of French, because when I got here, majority of people didn't speak those languages. And since English was the main language which everybody spoke, that became the primary focus, was to learn English in that aspect. So 3 out of the 5 I still can carry a conversation with.
Yeah.
And then of course I added English, so then there's the 4 right there.
It's funny because I grew up speaking Kurdish, and Kurdish is really similar to Arabic. I can't speak Arabic, but when someone speaks Arabic, I can kind of make it out.
Put it together.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. So how old were you whenever you first, in 1998, was
So
that?
1998, I just turned. So my birthday's in March 1st. So I just.
You're
turned
March
11.
1st?
I
I'm
am.
March 2nd.
Man, see, that's how I know we're connected right there, my brother. That's how we know we're
Yo.
connected right there. So yeah, March 1st is my birthday. So I just turned 11, and when we got here, that was the case, right? So. I always tell people, that I learned how to speak English by watching Jerry Springer.
No way.
I kid you not. I kid you not.
Hey, shout out, man.
No, at the time, right? Because we just got here, didn't really go out much. I couldn't talk to anybody. The kids outside didn't understand my language or anything, so I would just stay inside and watch Jerry Springer with my mom.
That's how you learned English.
And I started picking up, and I look back, and I'm like, I don't know if that was a wise thing. You start learning some very colorful words.
That's fine.
But,
Tell me about growing up back home with what was dad like?
So I would say my early childhood was rough, right? Because when I was born right into a civil war. So South Sudan and now Sudan, we were having a civil war.
Right.
So the reason why we migrated, we went to Congo, was because we were living on a refugee camp in Congo, right? So at the time, it was just survival, basically.
Got you.
Right.
And
so
you remember this?
I can tell you everything for word by all the way as far as.
What was the Civil War about? Because I remember when South Sudan became a country.
Yep.
Was it in 2016?
It was 2011.
2011,
We got our independence.
Okay.
Yep. From Sudan. And so there's a lot that can go in. At the time back then, we always heard it was like the North versus the South. It was Muslim versus Christianity, things of that nature. But really, it was just the government. They would not agree with each other because Juba is the capital now, right? And the thing about South Sudan is that we have about 64 different tribes. So that's a lot of different tribes, and so it always, we can say it was about religion back then, but at the same time, I would just say there was too many, as they say, there was too many chiefs, in that aspect. Everybody wants to make their own decisions, and because of that, the people are the one that suffers majority of the time, right?
That's usually how it goes. It's people who are fighting over power, control, and money.
Yeah.
And then the people the people that aren't even involved, they're the ones who suffer the most.
They're the ones who suffer the most. Exactly. So that we wound up going and we stayed at the refugee camp. I would say, I still remember life as a kid with my friends. The things that we did. I learned how to fish with a hook that we created from the staple that you use for the paper.
Yeah.
Right.
So you learned that. How old were you at that point when you did
probably
that?
like 4.
And y'all went and caught fish.
Oh yeah, we went fishing. Okay, listen. So the thing about it is that when we were young, we built slingshots. We go bird hunting.
Yeah.
Right. We go we go fishing. The one thing
You're a boy.
We're a boy. We're gonna be outside.
Yeah.
That's punishment to us.
That's exciting.
Was staying inside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Today now punishment is going outside, which is completely different. I would say though we live in a refugee camp, and right now we look at that like, man, it was a lot of survival. At the time as a kid, that was life, right? So there's a lot of happy memories that from there. At the same time, of course, there's a lot of struggles that we went through in the same, right? I still remember one time, I always say that God has always had His hand, on our lives, right? Because my father at the time, he, when we went to the refugee camp at the moment, so he actually left to look for a better place. He's like, because life there was, it was a challenge, right? So that's how he wound up in Nigeria at the time. So from 3 to 4, my dad is not there, so he's not there. It's just me and my mother at the time.
Wow.
And I remember one time there was some rebels that came into town. And so the craziest thing, that my grandfather was actually in the military as well. So my mom grew up in a military family. So when the rebels came, she actually recognized some of them, right? And so she was like, "Hey, you're here too." They're like, "Yeah," but what we found out later was that those that she saw, they were basically getting some food for the rest of the gang that was in the woods, right? And so it was at night when they actually came out and started going through town from house to house and things to that aspect. It was a rough time and Dad
Wow.
wasn't there, right? And so my mom pretty much is just me and her at the moment, and she's trying to protect me as much as she can, and I'm trying to protect her, be the man of the house, since
Right.
I'm the only one right then. And there were several people got killed that night. I remember when we were sleeping, it was our neighbor, right? He risked his own life to come and see if we were still sleeping at the house, because our house was right by the road, and he risked his life, and he found out that we were still there. He's like, "Hey, listen, I don't have enough time to explain, but we have to go right now." And as soon as we got out, just several yards away, of course, few rebels, they came in, went right into the house where we were sleeping, and we weren't there. And if we were, we would not be having this podcast.
Wow.
So it was that close to just. So that's all I would say. I remember I was reading a book by Steve Jobs one time. He said, you can't really connect the dot looking forward, but you can connect the dots looking backward and seeing how God's hands has been there guiding you in every decision and everything that's been happening. So, man, I see that and I'm like, wow,
I'm getting chills, man.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
It's a great quote, man. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back.
Exactly. Right. So that was life, and I would say that it has played a major role in how I see things in perspective in life. And I would say that challenges are not here to stay. They are here to mold you and to prepare you for the next stage in life, right? So when you're going through a challenge, just understand that this too shall pass, right? And you getting molded, right? You're getting built for the next challenge, because it's always one challenge after the other. 'Cause
Right.
we're not here to have a utopia kind of stuff.
Right.
So if you look at it from that perspective, you're like, okay, all right. Well, as it come, you'll be ready for it.
The people that are more successful than you have just went through bigger challenges than you. That's it.
That's it.
And each, like you said, each challenge gets bigger. So
Yeah.
sometimes God is waiting to bless you once you overcome that challenge.
Man.
And then, hey, as soon as you get that blessing, there's gonna be another challenge.
There's got me another.
There's another bigger blessing on the other side.
Yeah. I one mentor of mine, she told me, she said that there's no big problems in the world, only small people, right? And at the time when she said that, I'm like, are you just calling people small? Of course. And so it took some time to really see the wisdom behind what she said. And it made sense, because a lot of the time, the challenges that we face, if somebody else who have already faced them, it doesn't phase them the same way it is phasing us when we are currently going through it.
Right.
And the reason why it's such a huge mountain to us right now is because it's the first time we have faced it.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody else who have, like, let's say you and I, we're gonna go, climb. I was gonna say Everest, but since I'm from Africa, I'm gonna say Kilimanjaro.
Let's
right?
do it.
And let's say if we're gonna climb Kilimanjaro, and the wisest thing we can do is have a guide with us who have been there.
Right.
Right. So to him, climbing that mountain is, it's like, look,
Every day.
Every day. I've done this before. To us, we're gonna be sweating like, man, my leg is burning. I don't know if we're gonna make it. So in that aspect, that makes sense. It's like there's not really big problems in the world. There's only small people. So when you're facing a challenge and it seems like a mountain, it seems like overwhelming, surrounding yourself with the right type of people can help you overcome that challenge. Isolations a lot of time is not a good thing.
Yeah, especially for men.
Especially for men, right? Because, we deal with so much. We deal with so much different challenges. We have to take care of the family, right? Because that's our responsibility in that aspect. As I was mentioning earlier, my mother and I, when we were growing up, listen, to me, I was the man of the house, and I had to figure out how to make sure that we were taken care of, right? So there's no big problems, only small people. So it was
dropping wisdom, man. I love it. So you get here at 11 years old. You don't speak the language.
That's not at all.
You're learning how to speak English. You're going to school, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
What were you like at this age? What is going through your mind? Are you even considering college? Like, what is your thought process on life?
So it is a culture shock, right? Because I come from where I came from, you know, light, running water, things of that nature. These were things that you have to work for. You want a hot water, you gotta wake up in the morning, go to the go to the river, go to the creek, and or we call it the pump, and you fetch the water, come home, put it on the fire, get some hot water.
Yeah.
Now here you are, you want hot water, just turn the faucet on, and there you go, right? Hot or
Crazy.
cold. I'm just like, man, this is, yeah, this is amazing. But it was a culture change, and so during that time, I'm just trying to see if I fit, right? I'm out of place, right? I'm out of place. I'm going to school. The kids doesn't speak the same language as I do. When somebody speak to me, I'm pretty much just nodding my head, hoping that they're talking,
They're not asking a question.
Right.
Just smile and nod.
Just smile away, boy. And so I remember, while I was in class, because I have a photogenic memory. I found that real quickly because a teacher, she said, hey, she gave me a audio to listen to the book. And so within a week or a couple of days, I was like, okay, I know this book. I told her that I know it already. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. So she takes the audio and she told me to read. And word by word, I literally just recital everything I've heard based on the words, right? And what was funny when she caught me was that I actually sound like the audio. I was mimicking how the audio sound, right? And so with that, so they started helping me, learn faster. So it took me about, I would say, two and a half months. So we got here in July. By September, I was already starting to have conversation with other kids, in that, because remember, when I got here, we've been moving from one place to the other.
Yeah.
And so therefore, every time we move, we had to learn a new language.
Right.
So
you're learning how to learn languages.
Exactly. I was picking up really fast. My mom, on the other hand, she's like, listen, it took her a while, but she was already older when she got here, right? So life was a change. Everything was different, and so I was just one, I was blessed. I was extremely excited to be here. I haven't seen Dad for a while because we always lived away from each other. Now, I'll tell you a funny story that I actually did not realize what I have done until I got here, right? So he leaves here, goes back to goes back home, and he brought this deodorant, right? So I think it was like Axe, or I don't know what it was, but it smelled really good. So we getting ready to go to church while he was there with us. And so I smelled it. I was like, man, this is good. So I put the whole thing on my body, right? Rubbed my whole self with it. Right? I'm like, I'm smelling fresh, okay? Right? So I think I'm 8 at this time, 7 or 8 years old. And so I go to church, and I'm sitting next to all the girls. They all smell. They're like, man, you smell good. I'm like, yeah, my dad, he just came from America, right? he brought
It smells like America.
Yeah, smell like America, right? So
smell like money.
So I get here. And I see it. I recognize it. I'm like, hey, Dad, this is the deodorant that you brought with you one time. He's like, deodorant? What are you talking about? I'm like, the deodorant. I mean, not deodorant, but this is the cologne, the one you brought. It's like, I don't understand. It's like, don't you put this on your whole body? Because he's like, okay. So he started laughing. He's like, now I know why you smelled so, you smell like my deodorant when I met you, that one time. It's like, so you put this on your armpit. This is so nasty. I can't believe this. Right? So there was a lot of things I was recognizing or realizing when I got here, but it was different. It was just a change of culture, right? And so adapting, and that was the one thing I knew how to do very fast is adapt because we moved a lot, during early childhood.
What stuck out to you the most when you first moved here? Like, what was like the biggest culture shock? You're like, dang, this is how Americans are.
Right. I would say it was as I get older is that a lot of time we take things for granted, right? Because if you are born into a scenario where everything is given to you, you don't really know what you don't even know that you're taking for granted. Yeah. And so therefore, when somebody else come here, they're starting appreciating everything because now it's like, wow. What it took so much to just achieve is here, it's given to you in a way. And so that kind of helped whenever I went into business, or also just in general. It's like hard work pays, right? It's like there's no substitution for hard work.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends, they just you can see it where they complacent because things has always been given, or has always been, it came to them easy. And so having that kind of a challenge and then being able to be put in that scenario, I would say that was some of the the changes that I saw and I realized.
That's true, man. A lot of people don't realize what they have being here, and I think that's why a lot of immigrants are so successful.
This
is
true.
because they come here, they realize, oh, back home we don't have streets, we don't have like running water, we don't have electricity 24/7, we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have really a bathroom. We have a hole.
Yep, this is true.
And so like you come here and you're like, dang, I have an opportunity.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, oh, my mom and dad made the sacrifice for this opportunity, and it's up to me now. You're like, oh, I got to get to work. I got to get to work.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. I heard a quote one time. It says that it says, strong man, what is it? Tough time creates strong man.
Yeah.
Strong man creates easy times. Easy times
create weak men.
And weak men create
tough times. It's a
right?
cycle.
And it's a cycle. It continues. And I realized that a lot of the time, the challenges that you go through are molding you. Like as we were talking about earlier, they are molding you to be able to face life's challenges that comes along. And so one of the things that we cannot do a lot, because when we go through a hard time or we go through challenges, we tend to want to weaken the experience for the next generations. Like,
right,
oh, man,
right.
I want to give you everything, that I didn't have.
Yeah.
But then forgetting that it was what you didn't have is what developed that character that you currently have.
How do you stop that?
That's the challenge. I always say that, when I have kids, I'm sending all of them to Africa.
Every summer.
Every summer. They're like, listen, go stay with your
That's a good idea.
Your aunts. You got a lot of family there, so go spend time there. When you come back, you'll be a lot more grateful,
Yeah.
in that aspect,
Man, so you're growing up, and then what were you like in high school?
High school was fun. I would say that for sure. At that point, I'm now starting to come to myself.
Yeah.
Right? I've learned to now say, okay, I'm not the stranger anymore. This is my new life, right? I would say in middle school, because I got here at 11, so I was still in elementary school or so. I started 5th grade, and then I went to 6th grade. 6th grade, we actually moved to a town in Watauga, over in Fort Worth. And so I remember whenever I got kicked out of PE.
Right?
Right? Now, it wasn't a bad thing that I got kicked out, because during PE, we always went outside, we run. And the craziest thing is I love to run, right? So at the time, I would be finishing the first lap while the kids are still just getting started. And so the teacher was like, there's no way we're going to keep you here in PE. You have to play football. I'm like, okay, I hear football. I get excited. Now, here's the thing. I'm an African kid. Football in America.
Different footballs, yeah.
We're not on the same page here, right? So I'm excited. So I go out, the teacher's like, hey, sign up here. So I sign up. And so when it came down to, to actually start practicing, I show up and they started handing me all this, all these pads and cleats. I was like, wait a minute. We don't use this for football. What
is this for? Yeah.
What is this for? I don't remember we using this at all growing up. They're like, what are you talking about? I say, I'm here for football. They're like, yeah, football. I'm like, yes, football. They're like, wait a minute, American football. Okay. I was like, oh boy. All right. So I have no idea what I just signed myself into. And so the coach says that, well, we heard that you're fast, so we're going to put you as a running back. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. They're like, okay, all you have to do is find green grass on the other side and just run. And I realized real quickly everybody was trying to get the guy with the ball.
Yeah.
Right? So I just ran for my life, right? So I remember our first scrimmage, I scored like 6 touchdowns.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, they're like, oh man, you're really good. I'm like, no, y'all all chasing me. Okay.
Okay. I'm just running away.
I'm just running away because I don't want to get killed here, right? So that's how my experience, when I got into start playing sports. So of course, come high school, now I'm a little bit more familiar. So I played, football, ran track, did ROTC while I was in school.
Okay.
Played, soccer this time now, right?
Yeah. So you're playing a lot of sports.
I
You're
was
very
playing-
involved.
I was very involved, all of the sports, right? So it made my high school experience very enjoyable in that aspect. So I enjoyed it. Had a lot of friends in that part. So that's how it got it, merged into the system. I would say that.
Cool. And then did you go to college?
So
What was that transition like?
So it was interesting because as I'm getting into my senior year, right, I have a really good, high GPA, and I had some college offers as far as we sent out letters to start to see which one we're gonna do. I'm still trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember one recruiter, he kept on consistently following up with me,
Uh-huh.
a Marine recruiter, right? Sergeant Sims, if you're listening, hey, I just put you on a blast, right? Right. And so at the time, all of my friends are going to college, so we graduate. I'm still trying to make a decision. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go to community college while I'm making it, deciding what I want to do. I was good at building things as in high school. So I was in robotics and things of that nature. So I was good at that. And I took time to actually go home. So I went home for at least 3 months. And while I was there, it was the first time since I've been here that I went back home.
How many years was it? So
Man, it was
9 years?
Give
8,
or
9
take,
years?
give or take. So it was I would say about 8, 9 years,
Yeah.
right? And so that was when I realized how big my family was, because I've been here, the whole entire time.
Yeah.
I really wasn't involved with my community. I wasn't involved with my,
You're getting Americanized.
I'm getting Americanized.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what's happening, right? So I'm completely cut off from my family. Then I went home for the first time, and I realized that I'm the oldest. At the time, I'm the oldest. I think it was like 30 of us or so.
Wow.
Right? And as far as now, I think I'm still the oldest of 105 or 10. at the
Wow.
moment, right? So my family is really, really big. And when I went back home, the funniest thing was that everybody was staring at me, and they're like, "Oh man, we have lost him." Right?
Mhm.
He's no longer.
He's
no
American
longer,
now.
He's American, right? This kid is American.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're talking in my language, Zande, right? So all the kids, they are speaking, and they're talking about me in my own language. They assume that I do not understand
Right.
what's happening. So what I did was, the first full day I was there, every time when someone talked to me, I just replied in English, okay? And so I would see them just disappointed and I walk away. And then the second day, after they have talked about me, I'm like, oh yeah, he's not gonna understand what we're talking about. Then I start speaking with them. They lost it, right? They like, so you mean to tell us, right? The whole entire time
Yeah.
you've been watching us, and I'm like, I just wanted to know how y'all gonna treat me. Y'all
Yeah,
gonna welcome
yeah.
me home or treat me like a stranger? Which one is it, right? And so once I was there, it helped me understand a little bit more of what kind of responsibility and what type of an opportunity I actually have in my hand.
Did you get emotional?
I did, right? I remember seeing my grandma for the first time, of course, since being here, right? My grandma was actually my other mom. And the reason why I say my other mom is that when I was born, my mom was 15. She was very young. And my grandmother just had twins at this, around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so since she just had twins and my mom just had me, my grandma was actually the one that was taking care of me for the most part. So a lot of time people thought that she had triplets because I would be part of her, during that time. And so when I went back home, it was like seeing my mom again, which is my grandma. So it was really, it was needed, because while I was here, I was lost as far as trying to make a decision what I want to do. And so seeing my family, getting a chance to understand what type of opportunity that I have, when I came back, I realized that I could go to college. I can go that route, or I can instill more discipline. Right? And I remember, Sergeant Sims, he's like, hey, if you ever decide that you want to, give me a call. I can get you in. So I called him. I say, Sergeant Sim, I want to be a Marine. I want to join the Marine Corps. I believe it will instill enough the right discipline in me to be able to do what I need to do in life to accomplish the vision that is necessary.
So you're a Marine.
I am.
I did not know this.
But now you know.
I had no idea you're a Marine.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. That,
I served 8 years in the Marine Corps.
wow.
And I came, got out as a sergeant. Right. It was 2015. Was my is when I got out.
Well,
And
thank you for your service, man.
Absolutely.
I have a
Thank
lot
you.
of admiration for the Marine Corps. I have a lot of great partners. Zach is a Marine.
Man, that's good.
Zach is a
That's good.
Marine.
Yeah.
A lot of great people. One of my mentors, Matt's a Marine.
That's good. Man,
So-
I gotta meet the rest of the gang.
You got to come out. Yeah, we'll definitely make something happen. But
Yes, sir.
so
Yeah.
you decide to go the Marine Corps route instead of college,
Instead of college.
and that
uh,
must have been a tough decision because there's a lot of pressure to go to college.
was the one that was having the hardest time with this whole decision. My dad, he understood it. I told him I just had a conversation. I'm like, I believe this is good for me,
Mhm.
right? And so he's like, if you believe this is right, then support your decision. Mom, on the other hand, she's like, oh no, my boy's not about to go die out there,
Yeah.
So, it took some convincing, but she finally said, if that's what you want to do, then go for it, right? And so I remember going to boot camp till this day, landing in San Diego, California, right? Stepping on that yellow footprint. I can tell you every single thing that happened till until graduation.
Yeah.
As if it happened to me yesterday. That's
Wow.
how much of an impact, it had in my life, right?
What did you take away? What was that impact that you're talking about? What did
Man, well, I would say the Marine Corps trained to Marines, right? To be tough, the mental toughness, the mental toughness aspect of it, right? Because when it comes down to life, life is gonna be tough. Life is gonna throw you all the different scenarios. I remember we were doing some training, and we had to go over a wall, a wall, and the trainers at the time, the during sergeant, they say, we don't care how you get to the other side, just get to the other side. Whether you gotta dig underneath it, go through it, climb over it, go around it, we don't care. Just get to the other side. See, having that type of mindset, one, have a goal, right? When you establish a goal, now you have a destination, you have a point as far as where you want to go, right? Because a lot of time people, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they want, and so they just run around in circles, and they just doing activities, right? And it's the matter of, okay, well, if you don't have a target, it's hard for you to hit it. You're just settling,
Exactly. You don't know what you're aiming for.
You don't know. You
And
have no
sometimes
idea.
people just run and they say, that, I want to go make money. Well, how much money do you want to
money?
make?
And how much are you trying?
How much do you need?
A
Yeah.
lot. A lot. Well, how much
What are
is
we
a lot?
aiming for? What are we aiming for?
Absolutely. So these are different traits that was instilled, in me while I was in, basic training, that helped quite a bit, because even through that, it helps with all of your, everything else in life altogether. Right. So it was a good experience overall. It was a tough experience. I graduated as one of the guide, right? So, because the challenge for me was Sergeant Sims was, again, he was a company ornament, right? Which is the highest, personnel, in boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I bet you won't do it. I'm like, man, see, this is the thing you don't do. You don't do that.
Immediately challenges
It's like,
you.
come on now, man. All right, bet. Okay, so you owe me when I get back. And so literally that was our challenge throughout the whole boot camp, right? It's becoming a company ornament, right?
Is that where you picked up cigars?
So I would say I picked up actually. I picked up cigar because I have a partnership group. There's about 7 of us, right?
Mhm.
And so everybody smoke. Everybody has the cigars.
Yeah.
So I was the rookie in the crew.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
So it was after Marines.
it was after the Marines.
Okay,
It was
okay.
definitely after the Marines.
So,
Yeah.
explain the ending of the Marine Corps. Why did
Okay.
you decide to leave? What was your mindset going on and saying it's time for me to exit?
Absolutely. I would say this is around 2012. We had some training over in Morocco. We came back, and I was just about to become a sergeant at the time. So I went to sergeant's course over in Quantico, right? And while I was there, I was watching everybody that was there as well. And so I'm comparing career changes now
Mhm.
because it's getting closer to my 8 year, or so. And if I'm going to stay over the 8 mark, I might as well go ahead and keep the whole 20. Because
Right.
now, you're already over it at that
Yeah.
point, right? So I'm asking other, Marines, other sergeants, staff sergeants, and so, and I found out this, right, is that whatever career path that you are on or that you're in, ask the most senior personnel that's
Right.
been there longer than you, right? If that's the same path that you want to travel, just ask them, and they'll give you what you can expect, right? And so during that time, I just started it's that just is signed to become an insurance agent, which is interesting, right?
Mhm. I love it. I love it.
So I just signed out to be an insurance agent, is to do it part time while I was still in, and I got my 63 investment license in that aspect. And so now I'm starting to think, okay, if I stay in the Marines, then of course that becomes the path,
Mhm.
right? But if I decide to come out, then I'll go into the financial field, start my own business, things of that nature. And so I was talking to a different business owner that had they had a very successful business, and so I just wanted to compare the two. So the decision came down to, if you come out, right, you're literally putting your own life in your own hand at that point. It is now your decision. You get to call the shots for the most part. In the military, literally, you get to be told what to do, what to
Yeah.
wear, when to be wear, and all that, what time to wake up. So these were all the choices, that was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So I made a decision that, okay, I believe that going the insurance, going the investment route will be the best choice for me and also for my family, because I wanted to build a business and things of that nature. I've seen other mentors, I've seen other people, seen the lifestyle that they live, and I believe that was going to be the choice. So that's how I made that pivot, right?
Is it tough to see people leave the military when they've been told how to basically make decisions for themselves, and they come out and they're kind of like, well, I don't know how to make any decisions?
It's a transition that has to happen, right? It is tough because, once again, when you're in the military, everything has been, you're being told what to do the whole entire time, right? You're being still, instilled in your different leadership traits and things of that nature. But a majority of the time, you already know what the mission is. You know what the mission is. Versus when you come out, and especially depending on what your MOS was and why you're there, and then when you come out, there's not a lot of the same skills out in the civilian world than
Right.
it is in the military aspect, right? So now here you are, trying to fit in to a to being a civilian, fit in into being how to make a living completely outside, because when you're there, I mean, housing are taken care of, things like
Right,
that.
right.
So it is a transition that has to happen, right? And it is tough, but I know it can, it happens all the time, right? So it was. Right?
So what was it like stepping out and deciding to go into financial services?
So
It was, I'm sure, very easy.
oh yeah, right, right. So the craziest thing is, my experience with that. During that time, we didn't have Zoom, right? So you
Right.
had, when you were talking about meeting people, you had to meet them at their kitchen table,
Right,
right? So
right.
actually drive to their house, meet with them, play with their dog, get the kids, and then sit down and talk about insurance, right? We talk about life insurance, and then like, hey, now we talk about investing and things of that nature. So it was 2 different worlds. 2 different right? It wasn't like I was using any of the skills that I had in the military in the world, in the outside world. So it was a mind shift that had to happen, right? I remember here's the craziest thing. So as I make that transition, of course we gotta gain momentum, right? And I was married at the time, and my wife, she was working part time. She was working, so she was supporting us at the time. And I remember I drove to a client house, right, and only to get there, and they're like, "Oh man, we forgot about our meeting." I was like, "You could have just text me, call me, and let me know. I just drove all the way here."
Yeah.
And I was on my last gas too when I drove.
Wow.
Right. So I drove. I was hoping to make that sale. I'm like, all right, great. We're gonna figure it out. So I get there. They like, oh man, we forgot about the meeting. Can we reschedule? Like, don't worry about it. We got this. Of course, gotta play the part.
Right.
So on the way back home, I ran out of gas. So here I am, cars dead on the side of the road. So I get out. I got get my gas can in my hand.
Yeah.
Walk into the gas station. I got $1 or something in my pocket also to fill up, and that was an experience that it was challenging, right? But the thing about it is, a lot of time you have to pay the price for success, right?
Yeah.
You have to pay your price. There's no quick path to it, right? Because a lot of time we just want it, and we want it right now, right? Microwave style, right? And that was another thing I had. We didn't have a microwave growing up. I had to warm my food in that aspect, okay? You get sticks, burn the fire, put them
There's no quick way.
There's no quick way.
There's no quick way.
Right? So it was a challenge, but it was things that I needed to experience.
Yeah.
Right? Because it made me appreciate more, now, and, the challenges, all of that aspect of it.
I love that we can laugh about this. and I love these stories. There's a story about a guy in Chicago, and he was in an appointment. And each second he's looking out the window to make sure his car doesn't get repoed. And he goes in the kitchen, and he's with the family, and the family's like, hey, let's go to the kitchen so he can sit down. Yeah. And he can't see his car from the kitchen.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He comes out, his car is repoed.
Oh, my gosh.
And you have to play the part. You have to pretend everything's okay, like.
Absolutely.
But now he's making $750 plus.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang.
It's
part of the journey.
The struggle is necessary.
It's supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen.
You're supposed to struggle.
Yeah.
It's like what we talked about. God's gonna bless you, but you need to go through the struggle first.
Absolutely. You gotta experience it because the thing is like, unless you have been through the challenges, it's hard for you to appreciate what you have, right? Once you have it, then you have to know where you come from, the challenges, how you have evolved to become the person that you are in today. Yeah. Right. There's a saying that there's a book actually I just purchased. They enabled for you the trick to having money is having some. Right. And so the interesting thing when I saw that was that a lot of the time you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your vision that you are going to make it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That you have this, because when those things are happening, right, the voice inside of you gotta say, it's okay. Yeah. It's gonna be okay, right? So you have to already believe in your vision, in the goal, because if you don't believe it, nobody else is gonna believe it. Nobody else is gonna believe it.
Hey, you gotta be delusional at some point.
Listen, you have to literally believe that it's all gonna work out. Yeah. Right. And from there, because when it does, and you can laugh about it because you're like, listen, nobody else saw this. Okay, I saw this, but nobody else saw this.
That's so exciting. I love that mentality of everything's going wrong. Yeah. But we're gonna be fine. Yeah. And hey, we're gonna we're supposed to struggle. We're supposed to fail. We're supposed to run out of gas on the side of the road for the last client, and we just know that God's gonna take care of us.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. It's it all plays a part, because I think a lot of the time we're so eager to get to the destination, right? But that we forget that it's the journey.
Exactly.
It's the process. through the journey is how you learn about your own self. You learn about your characteristic. You learn about, what type of, your morals and things of that nature. You learn about you
Yeah.
and the person that you are becoming in the process.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the destination, there's always another destination.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Craziest thing though is that was it 4 or 5 months ago, I made the most random trip that I've had in a while.
Okay.
And I had to meet a client in Boston, right? And so after that, I was actually booking my hotel where I was going to stay, and I get this ad about flying to Iceland for like very cheap price, right? And so the craziest thing is I'm going to Iceland, okay? Apparently I'm going to Iceland.
The
So
thought
after
just
the
came
meeting,
over you.
It just came over. And so after the meeting I met with my client, I literally just I booked a flight to Iceland, right? And while I was there, that it came to my mind. It's like, a lot of the time we focus so much on the destination that we forget the process.
Yeah.
We forget that who we are becoming. We forget to enjoy the challenges. It's crazy to say, oh, enjoy the struggle. Because I promise you, when you're going through it, there's nothing
There's
enjoyable.
no yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing enjoyable.
But when you look back,
remember about the Steve Jobs quote, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, you cannot connect the dot looking forward,
yeah.
but you can connect the dots looking backward, and you're seeing how everything has played out, right? How everything played out in your favor. You have to believe that you're going to make it, right? I used to, and I still do listen to Les Brown all the time.
I love Les Brown.
Les Brown, Eric Thomas. I mean, these were
E.T., yeah, yeah.
right?
Oh,
These
yeah.
are my, like, the goats when it comes to like motivation
Yeah.
and things of that nature. I still remember E.T. was talking about the, you have to want it as bad as what was the quote? You have to want it as bad as you want to breathe. Right? You gotta want it as bad as you want to breathe. So it's like if you were in a scenario right now, right, where you are coughing, you shortness of breath, right? And then the only thing you're thinking about is air, is breathing.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when it comes down to your visions and goals. Because once you know what it is that you want to accomplish, that should be the only thing that occupies your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Be so relentless, be so focused on what that what you want to accomplish that you drown out all of the other noises. Because a lot of the time it's so easy to compare yourself to someone else.
Yeah.
Like, man, they are doing this. How come my life is not like theirs?
Yeah.
It's like, but you haven't gone through their challenges, right? When you see someone succeeding, I once heard someone told me this. It said, "Bless that which you seek." Bless that which you see. So when you see someone very successful with their, and they're living their dream, right? Bless them, right? Do not compare, because listen, you have your own journey to do.
Yeah.
You don't but yeah.
Man, you bring a lot of value,
No.
Mr. Aquila. You're Mr. Aquila now.
I'm Mr. Aquila. We started out as James. Right now you're Mr. Aquila.
Mr. Aquila. Okay, so you're going from house to house.
Yep.
Stepping out, doing insurance.
Yep.
What came next? What was going through your mind? You're making probably a little bit of money now.
Yeah. So what happened was, I had a couple. There was this lady and her husband. They actually came to the house, and did our taxes, right? They filed our taxes. I was just curious. I'm like, well, how much did you make, filing the tax return? Because everybody have to file.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm still building my book of business on the insurance aspect side, and with the investments. A lot of my circle or my community do not have a lot of money to invest, right? Like $50 a month is a struggle itself in that aspect. So I'm still building that clientele. So when that couple, I asked them how much they made. They told me they made $500 just doing my taxes for 1 hour. I was like, okay, that could be useful. It could be useful. So I asked them if they were, they had a position, or they, the company they were working for was hiring. So they're like, hey, come meet with the owner. We actually got a class that's coming up. If you're interested, we can show you how to start, getting into the tax business. My intention was, because in my community we have a lot of families, we have a lot of kids, So learning about taxes and earned income credits and things of that nature. Now, in my mind, I'm saying, okay, well, we don't have money to invest, right? But if I can be able to utilize taxes, their refund, teach them about how money works, and then now I'm putting about five, six, however much in their pocket because of their refund, and then teach them how to be able to invest that money. Right. Now we go from just the 50 or to say, okay, hey, once a year put X amount, into the account and start building slowly. That was the intention. That was what really drove me going into the tax business, right? And so as when we started, my book of business in the tax world started to grow a lot faster because, of course, as you know, taxes bleed into everything that we do, everything. And the way that tax law works, it's so complicated that the average person doesn't really know what's really going on with it, right? So that's what. So my book of business in the tax world, tax business, it started to grow rapidly. So what I did was I took the same concept that I was using to build my insurance business, my investment business, and I made a switch, right? And I started to hire and recruit different people to like, hey, let's go into the tax business together. So before I knew it, I had a team of 10, right? And we were like, hey, listen, we're gonna help people get great refund on their money and things of that nature. And all of a sudden, that's where Aquila Financial and Tax Services was born.
Wow.
Right. And just just from a simple, because one thing I've realized is that having a destination, having a goal, right? There may be multiple routes that get you there. You might be set like, oh man, this is the only way that I'm supposed to utilize. This is the only vehicle I'm supposed to utilize to get there. But understanding that maybe there's different things can come and say no. The mission or the destination can still be the same, but we might have to use a different vehicle, or whatever the case was, right? So that's how we made the pivot to where now, with our tax business, we're helping clients. Now we're also educating them about how the rule of 72, how money works. Making sure, hey, dollar cost average. Look, put some money away.
Right.
That's how we got here. That's how we got to that point. And going back and just seeing all the process, in that aspect, allows you to be relentless about your vision, right? About the goal. But I would also say be flexible about how you're going to get there, right? Because now, like Bruce Lee said, be like water, right? So, understand what the vision is, right? I would say for me, my vision or my compass has always been my family. It has always been my family. And, there's a quote. It talks about how it says, it's about Merriam Williamson, I believe. It says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, right? Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be talented, gorgeous, brilliant? The fact is, who are you not to be? Right? You're playing small does not serve the world around you, right? As you liberate yourself, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same.
Wow.
Oh
my God,
man!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Right? Ever since I read that quote, it has always been something that's very deep and close
shook up
to
my soul. Shook up my soul.
And what I've found out is that people don't need charity, right? They need inspiration.
Right.
They need inspiration. The thing is, is if I was struggling, or said in the case, and I see you, one thing I want is for me, the light within me, to be lit, to spark, that I too can have my vision, my goals, and because every single person on this planet have a vision for their life. They have goals as far as things that they want. I remember Les Brown, he said that the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard. Right? Because in the graveyard, you'll find all the dreams, all the aspiration, all of the plans that people had, and they let it die with them, right? I remember he said that, imagine you being at your deathbed, right? And majority of the time the story is the family members. They all your family members gather around to to wish you well into the next life. But instead of the family members, they are all your vision, all your goals.
Oh.
Your goals are just around you, but they are around you, and instead of them being happy, they're angry, right? Because you did not have the drive, or you gave
The
up
work ethic.
the work ethic, or you gave up too soon because somebody told you no, or you gave up because you didn't think it can be done. And so therefore now your goals, your inspiration, those vision that God gave you have to die with you. Because the thing is that only you can bring to path those visions that you have, right? Only you can do that.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect, that has always been for me, as far as like my driving force. Is like, I want to be an inspiration for my family. There's a big crowd behind me that's watching, right? And so I'm like, hey, I was born in the same place that you are. I was born, grew up, when my whole story tells you that it can be done.
Right.
Right? It's like there's, the thing is like, if as I liberate my own self, I unconsciously give other people permission to do the same.
Right.
Right? And so that has been the thing, is like identifying what your vision, what your why is, right? Identifying what your why, why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you, do what you do? Why are you willing to go through that struggle, the challenge, to be able to? Because until you identify the why, the how is going to drive you insane, You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? But once you identify the why, how is not really it's not really your responsibility.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, you're gonna figure it out.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That's
it's gonna figure it out.
that's the beauty of it. Sometimes I'll call somebody. The call I called you.
Yeah.
I led with the why.
Mm.
It didn't matter what I said next.
Mm.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I say next. Hey, I don't even remember what I said, but when I call people and I lead with the why or the pain, it's like, hey, I dig into it, and it's like, it doesn't matter what I say. It's I could be selling toothpaste.
That's it. Hey, we know what the vision is. We know why, right? And I think that's the biggest thing for us, is identifying what is it that you want out of life, and it's the Bible says that as you believe, so shall it be done, unto you, right? And I think there's a book by Mark Twain, I think he's what is it? It's one of my, it's a really good quote. It's I think around the same as you believe, so shall it be done, right? But overall, it comes down to, what is your belief about yourself? Who do you see, when you look in the mirror?
As a man thinketh, so he shall be.
That's the one.
Is that what you're thinking of?
That is exact. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
So
Right. So so that's
it's James Allen, I think.
Is it James Allen? Mark? Okay. So
I've read the book. I've read it a couple times. It's
Okay.
I'm about to read it again. I'm literally we're about to do this challenge, me and some of the guys.
Yeah.
It's around that, as a man thinketh.
Yeah.
In his heart, so he shall be.
Oh man, then that book that I brought you, the 12.
I'm gonna read this book very too. So I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
So why this book?
It's very
And I want you to sign it and give me a message.
so I'm the me I see is the me I'll be. That's a quote that I heard one time. I think I'll put that there.
12 laws of the universe. FYI.
12 laws of the universe, right? Because a law is something that is it transcend time itself, right?
Yeah.
In that aspect, because a lot of the time, as we get older, as we, there are certain things that happen and we don't even know why it happens, right? And so we have the concept, as you sow, so shall you reap. In that aspect,
Right.
There's the same thing they do. You could say the karma aspect of it, right?
Right.
So these are just these are law, like gravity in that aspect.
Laws. It's,
That's just there. So the more you are aware of these, the more now you're able to utilize them to your advantage, to your purpose. But if you are not aware of them, and you are working against it, it's like, man, no matter how much you beat your head against the same brick, right, it is not gonna work, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to be aware of these. So Another, mentor of mine says that there's three levels of awareness, right? There's the known, what you know that you know. And the way that you know that is by both knowledge and experience,
Okay.
right? And then there's the known unknown. Basically, you have the knowledge, but you have no experience. So, for example, have you ever been to Japan?
The airport.
You've been to the airport?
Never been to, like, walked around Japan.
Okay. All right. So let's, how about China?
Never been to China.
Okay, but you know about China.
I know about China.
So you have the knowledge but no experience.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the known unknown.
Right.
Right? And then there's the unknown, what you don't even know that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? And so in that aspect, we can't even talk about it because we don't even have any content to even start talking about.
That was insurance for me 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Because it's the unknown.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
And I realized that there's two things that that opens our awareness: the books that we read and the people that we meet.
That's it.
That's really what it boils down to. So therefore, becoming more aware of of things through the books that you read, the people meet. As someone want to say that make friends for they open new doors.
Yeah.
Right. Make as many friends that you can before they open new doors. Like, listen, like we started earlier, right? There was what was it? Was it Jake? Or was it the gentleman that I met?
Zach.
Zach, right? And here we are having a whole
Yeah,
podcast
yeah.
just because we're mad.
Yeah.
And, it's like to have friends first you must be friendly. And so the thing about that is that being to be aware, the books that you read and the people that you meet, these are going to help expand your horizon, and it will also help get you to your goals and destination a whole lot faster, right? So the reason why, as far as this book, I believe there's a lot of great knowledge, a lot of great information as we are working as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as we are working. It's good to go with the current, right?
Yeah.
Than to fight against it.
You want to run downhill. Not uphill.
Not uphill. You're gonna speed up on the way, in that aspect, right? So that's the part. I've been reading a lot, as far as the different laws of the universe, how it works. It helps me catch why I do certain things, and I'm like, okay, now I'm becoming more aware of my own self and my, and things of that nature. Make corrections or make adjustments, as they say, right?
So what is your vision and your goals right now?
Man, that's a good question.
I know, kind of going backwards a little.
Yep.
We spoke before, and you said that you wanted to give back to your family, and you go back once a year.
Absolutely.
And you do that. So once a year you go back, you give back to your tribe, your family. You're the oldest, so the people that look up to you.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So that's something you're already doing. What more do you want to do? What's still left in your vision?
Man.
Because I know you're not done.
Oh no, we're just getting started. Actually, we really just getting. We haven't even cracked the surface yet, right? One of the biggest vision is building a school, right? Building a school in back home. So I've already have the name Young Legend International Academy, right? Young Legend International Academy. And so the reason being, once again, you have to speak life into people.
Speak to existence, yeah.
Speak it into existence.
So
when
a bunch of young legends that are going to go here.
Exactly. Young legends, right? So when the teachers are talking to them, they say calling them a legend. Because once again, when you speak, people tend to rise up to the challenge that you set them, set, right? And so that's the goal, that's the vision, is to build a school and also bring international teachers around the world, right? To be able to teach them, to show them the world itself, right? And with that, I want to help cultivate, pretty much show them that there's more beyond what they're aware of. Because I remember when I was a child, when you're growing up, that was the whole entire world until I got plucked and put here, and I'm just like, it was beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
Right. It was beyond what I could even fathom in that aspect. And so now it's just like, okay, there's so much that can, there's so much to experience.
Right.
So building that school is a vision that, as challenges comes, I keep that as as something like, hey, it needs to happen. It's necessary that it happens. My father and our family, we started a water plant, a water company, about a couple years ago, right? So we do have that back home. It produces water to the general public, fresh, clean water and things like that. Because water is essential, right?
Mhm.
Everybody needs to have
Absolutely.
it, right? So that's some things that we've been doing on the family side to be able to help with the general public. And so with the school, that is literally to build the next generation of leaders overall, right? So, but that's the and I'm I have a charity that is being developed. It's called Mango Seed Charity,
Mhm.
right? And the reason why Mango Seed, right? I actually at the age of 8, right before we started the journey here. I actually planted a mango seed in our home,
Uh-huh.
right? And I planted it, and I completely forgot about it. It wasn't until when I went back home after high school, then I went home and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at this tree, right? And I'm thinking to myself, if my memory serves me right,
You're like, is this the same spot?
This would have been where I planted that. And so
Yeah.
I asked grandma. She's like, yeah, yeah. So when you left, it started to grow, and so we took care of it. Just
Wow.
hoping that one day you can come back and see, hey, this is your tree. So I literally got a chance to eat from the fruit, the tree of my own. Right?
Wow.
It produces this mango tree all the time, every year. And that's part of the reason why I go home so often. I'm like, listen, it's mango season already. Okay, you guys better not eat all my mango, but by the time I get home.
Wow.
You know.
You got a lot of great stories, man. Have you ever written a book?
So I started one a couple years back. It was more of like an intro. Right?
Okay.
It was an intro. So I have a friend who's into the publishing. So we did like a short story, right? So I have one copy at the office, but the idea was to start with the short story, but then of course we'll write a book. The time hasn't come yet, or the opportunity hasn't presented itself just yet. But I think when the time is right, I'll definitely like to write a book.
Yeah, your story needs to be in books and on more podcasts and different types of media. What do you do for fun right now?
I love traveling.
Okay.
That's literally, if you were to ask me, James, what would you do, all right, if time and money was not an issue at all,
Mhm.
right? Or what is something that you're very passionate about? I would say traveling, right? At the office, I have this map. It's a scratch off. So it's like a game. So like every time I go somewhere, I can't wait to come back and scratch it off
Yeah.
the map and scratch it off. So that's something that I love to enjoy because I remember I was on a flight when I was going home one time, and I was on what was it, Emirate, I believe. It said we travel not to escape life, right? But that life doesn't escape us.
Ooh.
I was like, man, you guys just sold me on this. Like, okay, please snap my passport, right? Put
Yeah.
us up. We travel not to escape life, but that life doesn't escape us. So I love to travel. I love experiencing new places, new culture,
Yeah.
right? Because it opens your mind to
Right.
so much,
Yeah.
right? Because the world is so big, it's so vast. The thing I realize is that we live on one Earth, but there's 8 billion worlds.
Right. Right.
One Earth, 8 billion worlds. So what's happening in your world. A lot of the time it's like there's one, be kind to people. You have no idea what's going on in
Right.
their world,
Right.
right? And at the same time, learn to walk in other people's shoe before you judge them, before you cast any type of critics
Yeah.
on them and that aspect. Because a lot of the time, if you just stay in the town that you were born in, you will never know what's going on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
right? Because what put that dream or that put that fire in me is because till this day I think I was either 4 or 5 in that refugee camp, and I was looking up in the air and I saw this white strip right through the clouds. I didn't know, I had no idea what it was, but I just knew it's something that was moving, and it was moving fast,
Mhm.
right? And so in my mind I was like, one day that thing is going to take me somewhere, right? And that's the craziest thing is I still remember I'm on a mango tree. Apparently my story runs around mangoes. Okay, I'm on the mango tree with my friend, and I'm staring into the clouds, and I see it happening, right? And that's literally the thoughts that are going into my mind. And fast forward, we are in Kinshasa, which is the capital of of Congo. And I'm staring at the plane for the first time.
Yeah.
And the vision, that thought comes right into
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what it was. And so traveling to me ever since then has been a passion of mine. So I love to do that. I love to go check out different cultures. And so at the moment right now, I think we are at 34 countries so far.
Where was the
Right.
last place you went?
The last place was Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And then I was in Colombia before then, and I was also in Iceland, which I talked
Yeah.
about. Of course, I know my favorite place of always is going back home to Africa, the
Yeah.
continent of Africa, right? Because there's so much to experience
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
continent. And so a lot of that 34 has been from Africa itself, right? As I've scratched a lot of it in that aspect. But yeah.
Where do you want to go that you haven't been yet?
Oh man.
Like number one spot you want to go that you haven't been yet?
I don't know if I want to share this right now because
Okay.
that's my little secret spot. I'll actually, listen. So it is also part of Africa, right? There's an island. It's called Mauritius.
Okay.
It's Mauritius. So what catches my attention about Mauritius is that it has an underground waterfall. Okay. So now it's an illusion of a waterfall,
Okay.
but you can only see it from a helicopter looking down.
Okay.
Right? So when you get a chance, Google Mauritius, okay, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's like something off of the sci-fi movie, but it's real and it's here on this planet, right? And so that is that's a one spot that I'm excited to go. I haven't had a destination as far as the time yet, but that's literally on the top of the list as far as what I want to go. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Any final thoughts? Any questions for me?
Man, well, what made you decide to do a podcast or just get into podcasts altogether? What's the vision?
Yes. So what made me get into podcasting is like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I would just watch YouTube. And I would always podcasts would come along.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't watch them, but I would always see them. And then one day I clicked it and I saw it was like 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're just talking?
Yeah.
And I fast forward it, and it was like 1 hour, fast forward. They're still talking. 1 hour, 2 hours, fast forward. They're still talking. I was like, there's no way they're just talking.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't believe it. And then so I went back to the beginning, and I watched it, and I just got hooked from the first one. I was like, oh, man, you could just talk for hours. And I didn't realize how entertaining this is, how enjoyable this is. And so it started with Joe Rogan. And so I would watch his podcast all the time, and then I started watching Patrick Bet-David's interviews. And I was like, okay, Joe Rogan's very free in his podcast. Patrick Bet-David's interviews are very structured.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I like these two. This is what I want to do eventually.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Andrew Schultz.
Oh man.
And the comedian.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like this too. So I want the mix of all of those. I want the freeness of Joe Rogan, the structure of Patrick and the question tactic asking of Patrick, and then I want the vibes of Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
So I'll do podcasts with the boys. So I'll just bring the boys on. We'll just hang out.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And then in college, I started one, and it was just audio. And it was horrible because I was younger. It was just me and my friends. We were messing around. It was just not good content.
Yeah.
But we just did it just to do it.
Yeah.
Never posted it online or anything because we were just idiots. But it was like, oh, I just press the button and record, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to have a show for a very long time, and I just didn't really have the right platform. So I finally was able to get the right platform through PHP and have the right audience and mentorship and guidance and vision. So the vision with this is we're going to have really big events. So we're gonna sell out Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a podcast, multiple podcasts with Mark Cuban, Patrick Bet-David, The Rock.
Love it.
You're gonna be there.
Love it.
And we're gonna have. It's not just gonna be shows. It's gonna be debates.
Yeah.
It's gonna be comedians. It's gonna be music. It's gonna be value. So different types of speakers and things like that. So this is eventually gonna be a giant event, and we're gonna sell tickets to, and it'll be for a good cause.
Yeah.
So. That's the vision with this.
Man,
it's going to be
I
called
love it.
Dollar and a Dream.
Dollar and a Dream. I tell you, man, as soon as you told me that, I was like, I love it. I love it. Because the thing, like we were talking about earlier, having a dream gives us a purpose to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, man, this is what I want to accomplish. And we are creatures that, especially for men, when we have a target, when we have a vision, we have something that we want to accomplish, it gives us that motivation and purpose to to go for it. Right?
Yeah.
So man, I love the name, Dollar in the Dream.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the vision behind it, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I can't wait. And I'm gonna be like, listen, okay, we're here now. I love it.
It's gonna be fun, man. I'm super excited, and
Yeah.
it's like it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
That I've done it.
That's good.
So we're just getting started. I know that the first goal was 21 episodes because 99% of podcasts don't make it to episode 21. So I was like, okay, this is I think episode like 44.
Yeah.
So the next goal is 300.
That's good.
So my mindset is just on 300.
Yeah.
After 300, I'll be in a different place financially to where I can, because I have hours of content.
Right.
I just need to hire a media team to chop it up and blast it.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about that yet. I'm just gonna continue making hours of content.
Yeah.
So when the budget for the media part comes up, I can just press play.
Man, it's like I call it running in quicksand, right? Because what happens is when you're running quicksand, it seems like you're not going anywhere, right?
Right.
But you're building all the right muscles.
Exactly.
You're building everything.
Exactly.
Right? And the moment you get put on the track, everybody's like, "What just happened?" Oh, trust me, we've been prepared.
Exactly.
It's
It's like bamboo. You know how bamboo grows?
I've heard.
So
about this
bamboo,
story.
you have to plant it and water it every day,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna grow for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But you have to continue
Wow.
watering it. But that second, third year, it shoots up.
Yep. Yeah. People always say, "Man, it's an overnight success." Yeah. 10 years overnight.
Right.
5 years overnight. Whichever the time.
Joe
frame is.
Rogan didn't monetize his podcast until 5 years in.
Yeah. See.
So I mean, I'm just focusing on the business, making sure that we have the same kind of vision and goal. We want to make sure we help our communities in regards to finances and financial literacy.
Absolutely.
So that's the main vision, and then this is going to be the media company that
Put it all together.
puts it together.
I love that.
And so just like we know the news, they're brainwashing us to like hate each other.
This is true.
I'm trying to brainwash us into love each other.
That's good, man. I love that. I always say, someone once told me like television, right? And they broke it down to
Tell a vision. Exactly.
So now the question you have to ask yourself is, whose vision?
Who are you watching? Who are you
whose
watching?
Vision? And what's the every content has an intent. Right?
Exactly.
Every content that you watch has an intent behind it. So basically, what are you feeding your mind?
Exactly.
Because so whatever you feed yourself, you create the appetite for it.
Yeah.
Right. So be very, very mindful as far as what you're watching, what you're putting in front of yourself. Because we live in a world right now where it's all about your attention.
Exactly.
Right? The energy. Once again, when you start reading the 12,
I'm excited.
it's very important. It's like everything is about your energy, or capturing your essence of you as a being, right? And so it's so powerful that you guard that with all diligence, right? You guard that, and so one, have a vision as far as what it is you want to accomplish, and be intentful. Be very mindful as far as who you allow into your circle.
Yeah.
Because they always say if you have 5 idiots as friends, you're just number 6.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But at the same time, if you have a circle of leaders, right? You have circles of people who are go-getters. You become who you hang around with.
Exactly.
So it's very, very crucial. It's like your we has to be strong, and what I mean by that is who is around you.
Yeah.
You got to be strong.
Absolutely.
Because they're gonna come a time where you need assistance. Right.
Yeah.
We are going through the challenges of life, because the challenge will come.
Yeah.
It's important to the village, or the tribe that you have built, that they recognize that, hey, he's going through the process right now.
Yeah.
So now we put our hands and around him and guide him through that process. So it's very, very crucial that you build the right tribe, the right people around you. Right. So because that's how you go farther. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, take a team with you. And so crucial. So that's always something. It always sticks with me. And so when I talk to my team, I'm like, hey guys, you can do it individually, but together we are more powerful. We are more, we can get there faster, right? Together, and we can go further, right?
That's it. James Aquila, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, I appreciate you, brother.
Got you, bro.